Ladies and gentlemen, sports fans alike, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago, one of the couple, two, three best podcasts around. So sit back, grab yourself a cold one and a Polish sausage, park your keister in the French room, and listen to Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose, as long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts, Alex and Sean. On this episode, we are going to be talking about a Bears victory Sunday. We're going to be talking about the finale of the baseball season, sprinkle in a few more things. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs. If you're not familiar with the Rockford Ice Hogs, they're the AHL minor league affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. What does that mean for you? You get to see the stars of tomorrow today at family-friendly, affordable prices. Sure, season is not yet started, but it is getting very, very close. And you should head on over to icehogs.com, get yourself a hat, shirt, jersey, sign up for season tickets and more. Tell them Swerski Sports sent you. Alex, my friend, how does it feel to be victors in the city of Chicago?
Don't you mean Arlington Heights?
No, I don't. I don't mean Arlington Heights at all. It's going to be
come
Chicago
on.
until it's not Chicago.
Embrace it, man. Embrace it.
No.
Arlington Heights.
No, not. I'm not doing it. Not doing it.
Do we have a meatball on our hands here?
Yes.
Oh, man. Just embrace the change. Embrace not having to drive to Soldier Field. Embrace a giant, massive SoFi Stadium-like facility.
They won't have that, though. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Before we jump into the Bears victory is, of the NFL teams, they talk about rich teams, poor teams. And as far as the market goes, the Bears are a rich team. But as far as ownership goes, they are a poor team. Like the Bears like the McCaskey family, they don't have boatloads of cash. They can't build a new stadium without some sort of massive financing. I don't even know how they're affording to buy that land without financing. So I don't know how this gets done. Without massive amounts of financing. And I think that they really think that at some point the city and the state will kick them some money to stay in Chicago, which I don't think is going to happen.
Well, I know there's the whole battle between Chicago wanting them and then, them kind of wanting to leave. And then you got trying to play some hardball and, Lori Lightfoot saying, you know what, maybe we don't need them. They've been trying to keep them. They've been trying to negotiate or whatever. And, things are clearly not here, but they're going to buy that land. I mean, there's obviously going to have to be some sort of financing, but here's my question. Here's an honest question. Is this move being made with the anticipation of the McCaskies selling the team? Are they just trying to build some value here?
That is my thought. And I've had that thought for a bit is hear me out, Bears fans. Excuse me, that Virginia won't sell. She'll never sell as long as she's alive, but she turns 99 in like 3 months. And that not even 3 months. She turns 99 years old. So she does not have a long time left on this earth. Like, what are the odds that she lives to be triple digits? It's pretty slim. So sooner rather than later, the rumors are that the majority of her heirs are interested in selling this team. And I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense because, they could be getting, a nice chunk of change every year for the rest of their lives. or they can sell this team for probably $5 billion. And then that's just life-changing money there. That is just done. And you divide that up and that's the rest of your life. But will you live long enough if you're the heirs to get whatever fraction of that $5 billion you'll get year by year, or by selling the team and just being done? And part of the problem with the Bears is they don't own their stadium. The city of Chicago owns Soldier Field. They rent
Why do you
it.
think Lori Lightfoot wants to keep them so much?
So the Bears don't own a stadium, and when they sell, that gets factored into it. If you have the land and you say, hey, we have got this giant prime piece of real estate that comes along with the team, that goes a long way in as far as financing or selling the team and getting the best value for it, because you're probably not going to be able to build the whole stadium, but unless your plan is to borrow the money, sell the team with this fancy new stadium, and then pay off that loan really quick with what the money you just spent. But
because you can make that back. I mean, you can make that money back.
But you look at what NFL stadiums cost, and like SoFi Stadium. Wait, here's how much each NFL stadium costs to build. I'm looking at I hate stupid. So Allegiant Stadium costs $1.8 billion in Las Vegas. SoFi Stadium cost $5 billion.
I mean, SoFi Stadium, SoFi and Jerry World, those are just unbelievable stadiums. I mean, no matter what, if you're going to build a stadium, it's going to cost over $1 billion these days. It's just, that's what it's going to cost.
Right. And, in Chicago, I think it's stupid to not have at least a retractable dome.
Right. I agree.
That adds to the cost. You don't need a retractable dome in Los Angeles or Las Vegas or some other places.
Isn't SoFi Stadium domed?
Is it domed or is it partial domed?
I think it's because you remember down there, it might not be so much rain or snow, but the heat.
Let's see. SoFi Stadium. I'm looking at it. Pictures. It looks like it is it's not a fully enclosed dome. It does not look like.
Okay. I wasn't fully sure. I mean, when I picture a new Bears stadium, I picture more the likes of US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. That's kind of what I picture.
Yeah. So
something like that.
Yeah. The 49ers stadium costs $1.3 billion. Yeah. So it's SoFi Stadium. It's not a dome. It looks like a permanent tarp over the top. So the sides are open.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's probably just to keep the sun from beating down on people.
Right. You got to have some sort of climate control there, with the heat and everything.
Well, I don't know if it's even climate control because it looks like the sides are completely open.
Well, I mean, are they can they be closed and reopened? I don't know. I'm not an expert on SoFi Stadium. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah, but it looks like there's like a really nice tarp over the top.
Well, when I mentioned US Bank Stadium, if they were going to go that route, that would be permanently enclosed. There wouldn't be any sunshine coming in. You could also look at a similarity of saying, okay, well, if you don't want permanently closed, you could go kind of like what they have in Arizona, where the Cardinals play, because that's a retractable roof. And it obviously looks like a decent stadium, but it's not like SoFi luxurious.
Yeah. So US Bank Stadium, I think you need a fully, I guess with an NFL stadium, if that's solely what you're going to have there is an NFL stadium, what point do you need by having it, I guess, be retractable? Make it permanent. Baseball, it's nice because it's a summer sport.
Right.
And you're like, okay, well, we can close it for, you know, uh, in April, May, beginning of June, or October, if God willing. Um, or if it's rains during the year, so you don't have rainouts. Like that makes sense. NFL, what's the point?
Bear weather.
I mean, the 2 games a year that it might be nice to have uh a nice weather, but US Bank Stadium cost $1 billion.
Yeah, that makes sense. And honestly, you know what? I look at that stadium and I'm thinking, if you have a nice ass facility like that, why do you care about the weather? And I ask this question too to a lot of Bears fans who go to more games. Do you enjoy sitting outside in December on the lakefront with the wind howling?
No,
I mean,
nobody
is
does.
that enjoyable? Because I don't think so.
No. I mean, just think of, I'm going to put it this way from a financial perspective is if you're trying to sell team merchandise, don't you sell more merchandise when somebody's fingers aren't so cold that they're scared to take their wallet out and open it up with, take their gloves off to open their wallet to pay for it?
Never thought of it that way, but that's not a bad
Like, I
point.
mean, when you go into, like, I'm way more likely to spend money at a Cubs game than I am at a Bears game, even though I would prefer to buy Bears gear because it is usually shitty weather. And I'm sitting there going, I don't want to do anything because I'm too cold. I'm just going to watch the game and shut up. I'm not going to, like, why would I buy a jersey because I can't wear it? I have 6 winter coats on. I'm probably not going to drink a beer because it's too cold to take my gloves off. And why am I going to drink something cold when it's Arctic? Like you're not going to, kids are the big spenders because you're like, what am I going to do? Tell my kid, no, they can't have this, a popcorn and a nachos and can't get a shirt or a helmet or something. But like, if you're not going to bring kids when it's 30 below zero.
Right. I mean, that's just right. I mean, could you imagine a 9-year-old kid sitting in a game in December? Like, do you remember 2008 that I think it was either Thursday night football or Monday night football. It was the game the Bears beat the Packers in overtime. It was one of the coldest games in Bears history. It was well below. I mean, could you imagine a kid sitting through that?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I get the bear weather, but you know what?
Yeah.
I'm tired of it.
Like, who cares? I'd rather just win. I'd rather see them win.
Yeah, the thing is to make money, to make the most money and optimize your profits. We found this with the Bulls and the Blackhawks is you sell corporate seats.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are like, oh, I bring a client or I have these seats to impress people. And you can do that with the Bears. Except the problem is currently it's so cold, you're not impressing a client by like, oh, hey, come, get frostbite. You'll love it.
Right. And expand that further. We talked about this before on this show many times. And, I'm going to say it again. You get a stadium like a lot of the modern stadiums. Look at Lucas Oil Stadium. They host March Madness. They've hosted Super Bowls. They've hosted so many other events. You can do that at a new stadium like a lot of modern NFL stadiums. Look at Soldier Field. Chicago's wanted to host a Super Bowl forever. You can't do it at Soldier Field. You're not going to host a Super Bowl at an outdoor stadium in the Midwest and in the northern part of the United States. You remember the one year they hosted it in New York and that wasn't enclosed, and people were not fans of that. When you host Super Bowls outdoors, it's usually like, Miami, Tampa Bay. So, you're not going to get that at Soldier Field. If you want to host the Super Bowl, then you need a stadium that is not only indoors, but is the right capacity.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Chicago has all the infrastructure to host a Super Bowl other than the stadium.
Right.
They have Do you remember the year Jacksonville hosted the Super Bowl and they realized that was a mistake because they didn't have enough hotel rooms
Yeah.
and they had to
Yeah.
bring in like cruise ships to host the people? Chicago can handle that. Chicago has 2 international airports and, even, and, without too much problems, you have Milwaukee. That's another one that's, 90 minutes away. They've got hotels up the yin yang, restaurants up the yin yang. Like you can host a Super Bowl. The problem is you don't have a stadium that's big enough or enclosed enough.
Yeah, you're kind of lacking the most important thing.
But I'm looking at the NFL's richest owners, and the Panthers owner is worth like $14.5 billion. Jerry Jones is worth $9 billion.
Wow. I thought Jerry Jones was going to be the richest.
No. Stan Kroenke, the owner of the Rams, is worth $8.2 billion. Shad Khan, the owner of the Jaguars, is $8 billion. Stephen Ross, owner of the Dolphins, $7 billion. Robert Kraft, $7 billion. Arthur Blank, 6.2. They only go down to the top half of the league, and that the very bottom is of that top half is Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the Eagles, at $3 billion. They're they don't even list the Bears because they don't have that kind of cash. They just don't have that kind of cash. And buying the Arlington Heights property is going to cost them $200 billion. And the crazy part is so the Bears have.
Wait, do you mean $200 million?
Sorry, 200 million. Sorry,
I was going to say, what the hell?
Sorry, I'm looking at all these B's, billions. Yeah, and so 200 million for that Arlington property, and then you're looking at 1.5 billion dollars for a stadium. They don't have that kind of cash. Like, who's financing that?
Well, you're probably gonna get financing too. If you do that, I think you make that money back.
But that is long haul money. And the thing is how much do you pay on that? What's the interest? Like, is it financially feasible? Like, sure, you could borrow that money and long term, yeah, well, absolutely, you're gonna make money, but are the Bears profitable enough to pay off that loan and all that interest and everything and have it financially make sense?
I mean, it's a huge market, and I think if they actually get good with Justin Fields, that's going to help things. I'm not a financial expert here. I'm just kind of talking out of my own opinion. But one thing to keep in mind here is if this does happen, whenever this happens, it's obviously not like we're going to wake up next season, 2022, and we're going to have a new stadium. I mean, this is going to, this indeed does happen. We indeed get a new stadium. It is going to be some years down the road. I think we all understand that. And I think that gives time for the McCaskies to kind of say, you know what, we could, get this land, build our value, and sell. I mean, I think that selling the team is in the back of a lot of these guys' minds that are in the McCaskey family. Because I wonder this. Do they, like, not just most of the family, I'm just talking mainly George. Does he really like doing it? Or is he just doing it because of his mother? I honestly don't know. Can you help but wonder and say, you know what? Maybe the McCaskey ownership isn't that great just because they're really not that invested in the team. I mean, that's a big family. And the only ones who are actually involved with the team is Virginia and George? I think that's it.
I mean, probably. I mean, the brother that died was involved, but like, I think, I mean, I think as you go down the family tree, it's uh, interest in owning that team probably wanes. And sure, on one hand, you're like, oh, this is cool to be a minority owner once you inherit it, but uh, did, at what point,
Yeah, I mean, you sell the team, you make a bunch of money, you can invest it in other business ventures.
Um, yeah. So, uh, and you look at the Bears, so they make a profit. So last year they actually lost money.
Well, I
Last
mean,
year,
didn't everybody?
yeah, they lost $3.6 million. But 2019 they made a $136 million profit. So I'm going to read these backwards by year. So starting with 2020, minus 3.6 million, plus 136 million, plus 62 million, plus 100 million, plus 14 million, plus 104 million, plus 85 point. So you're looking at around $100 million a year profit. And that pace, you're looking at, like, if you don't pay your owners any salary, you're looking at like 15 years to pay off uh your stadium, which is that's a lot. It's a lot.
Well, I mean, if they think it's worth the investment and they think that it could help them get if you go out there and you say, okay, here's our profit margin right now. Imagine what happens when we have this new stadium with more ticket sales, more concessions sold, more events happening at our stadium. Because I mean, isn't a factor into their profit right now? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm really not sure how it works because they got to pay to be at Soldier Field. They rent the place.
They do. They pay. So I guess that's part of their operating income that would go towards the stadium.
Right.
But the problem is, for however long it takes to build that stadium, they're paying double duty.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. So Virginia McCaskey owns 80% of the team, and then 20% of the Bears is owned by Patrick Ryan, of who everything at Northwestern is named after him, and Andrew McKenna, who are old as shit too.
I have a solution. Jeff Bezos.
Well, the thing is if the McCaskey family decides to sell, that the minority owners in the contract, when they bought 20%, they have right of refusal to buy it. And the thing is you think Virginia's old? Andrew McKenna he just turned 92 like 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
And Patrick Ryan, the other minority owner, he's 84.
They're all old.
So they're old. I mean, are they going to want to sell their shares as well or are they going to try to buy it?
Do they have the money to buy it?
I think I mean, Pat, they may have, but Pat Ryan just put in a bunch of money to Northwestern.
Right.
Yeah, let's see. What is Andrew McKenna's net worth? He's estimated to be worth only $32 million.
Yeah.
That's so he is not gonna he's not gonna be able to buy it. What's Patrick Ryan's net worth? I think he's worth a lot, but not nearly enough. So I think he is worth $7 billion. So is he going to want to spend most of that to buy the Bears outright?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, Jeff Bezos, for him, it would just be paying like a few dollars at a convenience store.
He just he just opens up his pocket and just with the loose change falls out. Is that enough?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a $10 billion coin. Is that enough?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if Jeff Bezos owned the Bears, we wouldn't have to worry about financials. I wouldn't like him personally as an owner, but, I'm just saying we wouldn't have to worry about any financials if Jeff Bezos owned the team. Or
Yeah.
can we, well, does Bill Gates actually still like own the majority of Microsoft, or did he sell that?
I think he owns it.
I wasn't sure.
I don't think he wants to own a team.
I don't think so either. I'm not sure. Well, actually, I don't know. Is Jeff Bezos again, I'm not saying he's going to buy the Bears. I'm just saying, is Jeff Bezos, I wonder, interested in investing in sports? I mean, he can invest in anything he wants. Let's be real.
I don't know. I think he just likes to dip his fingers into everything. I mean, the guy is worth 190 some $billion.
The guy is building a yacht for $500 million, and it's like paying for a plasma screen TV for
like
most people.
What, I don't know if you buy a team for $5 billion and you're worth almost 200 billion, like you're like, whatever. Like you have to spend that money on something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that we're looking at a long way out. I mean, the Bears' lease with the city is till 2033. And I can guarantee you that Virginia will not be alive when that contract is up.
You want to bet?
I do. I'm open to that bet because, we're looking at 12 more years. She'll be like 110 years old. I don't think so.
Mrs. Burns is 120 years old, so try to sound more desecrated. And she doesn't call her son Mr. Burns.
She'll be like looking like the crypt keeper. But let's talk about this game today. Is we got a big victory, and it's funny, like Matt Nagy after last game, and we talked a lot about that. Talked about that everything was on the table to make this team better for this week, and he never told anybody what was happening. He didn't announce who the starting quarterback was going to be because there was suddenly this mystery thumb injury with Justin Fields. This mystery thumb injury, like who's going to be the starter? And they announced on Friday that it was going to be Justin Fields, which I think we all knew. And then going into this game, you start watching that first drive, and the whole time I'm sitting there going, all the way the cadence of these play calls and how fast they're coming in and how fluid it is, like this really seems like when Bill Lazor's calling the plays.
Mm-hmm.
So I start tweeting. I'm like, is Bill Lazor calling the plays? I'm like, who's at the game tweeting? Because I'm trying to figure out, is Matt Nagy, can you see on the sidelines? Because normally they would show him, having his play sheet and covering his mouth and barking into the the headset. And then they finally showed during a play call that he's got his play sheet, but he's just writing on there and he's not talking into the microphone. And you're like, I'm fairly certain that it's Bill Lazor calling the plays. And then after the game was over, he confirmed that it was Bill Lazor calling the plays.
Mm-hmm.
And, listen, I scream for Bill Lazor calling the plays. And I'm not saying Bill Lazor is the savior and Bill Lazor will have this offense humming. What I'm saying is that the way Bill Lazor calls plays, it puts the Bears in the best position they can with this same offense to score some points.
Yeah, like I said last week, it stabilized the offense. You were a bit more balanced. You you could tell kind of Bill Lazor was doing it right away when they were utilizing the run a lot more successfully. You remember last year when Bill Lazor took over calling plays, you saw Dave Montgomery go out there and put up some numbers, and he did that today. And boy, you could only pray that that knee injury really isn't serious. But, you saw that first drive and everything was just working so much better. And you actually saw some adjustments being made compared to last week. And, not only was just the production better from the offense, but I feel like, it wasn't perfect, but I thought we saw significantly better play from the offensive line. And I mean, I guess that's not saying much. It's hard to get worse than how you played last week, but you actually saw a pocket for Justin Fields, and you actually saw holes for the running backs to utilize. Not only did Dave Montgomery, before he got hurt, rush for over 100 yards, but Damian Williams got 55 yards on 8 carries. So the running game was really able to take it to them. And, you look at the Lions defense, they're known for not having a good secondary, but last week they played the run pretty well. And this week, the Bears run game was able to bowl them over.
Yeah, absolutely. You saw much more balance. And sure, I would have liked to have seen a more of an opportunity for Justin Fields to throw, because we saw some amazing throws.
Oh my gosh, yes.
We saw some really nice throws from him, and arguably the best deep balls that we've seen any Bears quarterback throw ever. And I wanted to see more of an opportunity to throw. And I wanted to see the tight ends get involved more, because I think if you can get the tight ends more, you're going to see him be much more comfortable. But most of the times they kept the tight ends in and to help the running game. And I'm fine. If you're, the run game is what you want to see work to help Justin Fields. And the run game is a lot different under Bill Lazor than it is Matt Nagy. You see a lot more RPOs, and which involve, handing off, where the running back is getting the ball from a dead stop, handing off from, 3 yards back, and then having to get a running start. With Bill Lazor, it's a lot more downhill runs. You'll see lead blocks. You'll see tight ends in blocking. It's just a lot more downhill, north-south running, and you appreciate that, because that's the much more effective run style, and it's going to get the it ends up moving the chains, getting third and shorts, and with Matt Nagy you wind up with third and longs, and that puts a young quarterback in a real predicament.
I mean, it was so nice just seeing the run plays go forward, and not even just the run plays, but the passing plays. You were not only passing forward, you were passing for more than 5-8 yards. You were actually throwing passes beyond the sticks. You were rolling out Justin Fields. You were doing the things that we have been wanting to see. You weren't as predictable, one-dimensional, just looking like you're developing as slow as molasses. You saw things happen, and it was wonderful. I mean, look at the first drive of the game. It was a 75-yard drive, 6 minutes, 11 seconds, and, you just pounded it to them, and then when Justin Fields needed to make a play, he could make a play. And then you finish it off again with the run game getting into the end zone. What was really refreshing, too, was the fact that you were getting Darnell Mooney involved, and he had a great day. 5 catches, 125 yards, several of those absolute dime throws. The first big throw that Justin Fields made when they were up 7-0, they're on their second drive. They were well into their own territory, and he just launched one to Darnell Mooney downfield. That was one of those throws where you just went, oh, yeah, in an orgasmic fashion. And yeah, many other teams have seen their quarterbacks do that, not the Bears. And I mean, that was not a wobbly pass. That wasn't his first catch. Mooney's on the first drive obviously was very overthrown. It was a great catch by Mooney, but that second throw to Mooney, that big, deep, long ball, I mean, that was just a perfectly placed dart right on the money, perfect spiral. You couldn't have asked for a better pass. And look, we all know it's the Lions. We all know they're not good. We all know their secondary isn't good. But regardless of who you are playing against, it doesn't make those throws any better or worse, because some of those throws were just beautiful, and you could watch them over and over.
Is Justin Fields completed 5 passes of longer than 15 yards. Would have been a 6 if Cole Kmet wasn't a klutz.
Yeah.
You saw significant downfield passing, including some really deep shots that were just beautiful throws. Justin
Robinson.
Yeah, Justin Fields has a great arm. You got to give him the opportunity. And I'm not saying that he's a finished product, because he clearly has, some rookie things that he has to clean up, like hanging in the pocket too long, not securing the ball when he's rolling out. There's definitely some things, the play clock management, but those are the rookie things. You're like, oh, we can fix those. Those aren't the things. It's being able to make those throws, recognizing the how big or small the holes are in the defense, in an NFL defense versus a college defense. Those are the harder things to adjust. And Justin Fields, people talked about, they're going to shrink the playbook for him. I don't think they did. I think they just called better plays and better protections. You saw more max protects. You saw the tight end stay in more. You had a cleaner pocket for him. And listen, like you said, this is the Lions. This isn't the Cleveland Browns, but it starts with, if you can't do this against the Lions, you're in fucking big trouble.
Yeah, you need something to kind of, in my opinion, you need something to boost your confidence and be like, all right, we actually have something to work with that we know can work, so let's keep building upon it. You look at last week, what can you build upon? I mean, you were sacked 9 times. You didn't see many completed deep throws. You didn't see many completed throws, period. It was all a mess. Here you say, okay, we've seen Justin Fields make these absolute dime throws. We know that he could excel in that type of NFL environment, being able to make those types of throws. Now we know even more specifically where to fix some of these issues. You have something to build upon finally. Regardless of the opponent, it is still an NFL team. And in the NFL, a lot of fluky things can happen. And you have to beat your opponent no matter who it is. I mean, look at today. The Jets beat the Titans. The Giants beat New Orleans. No matter how good or bad you are, at the end of the day, you got to play, you got to win. And Justin Fields doing what he did, you look at the final stats and you say, on paper, it looks meh, whatever. But if you actually watch, it looks, you actually watch the game, you actually see what he did. There are so many things that you like. I mean, he only threw 17 times. He completed 11 of those passes. And the one interception was a complete just bad luck tip. That was on him. The defender came in, jumped up, tipped the ball, and it went right to the other defender. There's really nothing you could do about that.
It wasn't even like it was a tip that you probably should have thrown around like a defensive lineman jumping up. It was a legit, like, amazing play that got tipped and went straight up and got intercepted. I put that 0% on him.
Right.
He did fumble, and he did an amazing job of recovering his own fumble again. Second, because you look at Jason Peters, the ball was at his feet, and he's like, I'm not trying to touch my toes.
Right.
I'll let it happen. What God willing, God will let this happen. And Justin Fields like, I'll take this, big man. The numbers don't tell the story of what Justin Fields looked like. And I thought he looked really good.
I mean, for throwing just 17 times, getting over 200 yards, that's pretty good. That is pretty good.
We did see, like you said, David Montgomery ran really well. averaged almost 5 yards a carry. Williams averaged almost 7 yards a carry. Justin Fields only ran a couple of times. They just one, two where I think they were considered runs, but they might have been sacks. But he had a nice run to pick up a first down. Mooney had a great game. He had that 64-yarder that
chef's
was
kiss.
That was so nice.
Chef's kiss.
He had a 28-yard catch by Anthony Robinson.
Anthony
Robinson, Allen Robinson.
That was probably the most impressive throw that he made, because that was in a pretty tight window and he was going towards the sideline. And Robin, it looked like on that play, an elite duo. You have a great throw and a great catch. Elite passer, elite receiver. Kept those 2 feet in, held on control of the ball. And the Lions challenged it, even though he was clearly in bounds.
That boggled my mind. Why in the world did they challenge that?
Desperation.
Like, I challenged it because I didn't like it.
I don't like it. Challenge.
And then, so offensively, my only big concern was the fact that they didn't keep their foot on the, the gas. They, they should have kept up, because the Lions on their offense were moving the ball on the Bears. If they weren't the Lions and, just absolutely kick themselves in the balls, this would have been a really tough game. And the Bears might have even lost this game.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of wanted to talk the other side of the ball now that you mentioned that. The Bears defense is kind of lucky they only gave up 14 points today, because the Lions shot themselves in the foot so many times. So many times. Look, you look at some of the basic numbers. 14 points in 4 quarters, and you got multiple takeaways. Just those numbers alone can say, yeah, that's a good day. But the Lions were carving up the Bears all day. They were moving the ball consistently. They were getting into the red zone constantly throughout the game. Only a few times I think they didn't get to the red zone. But then you saw one of the flukiest, weirdest plays you'll ever see, snapping the ball, going off his nuts, and then going right to a Bear. Then you credit Alec Ogletree on the second drive, where on the 4th down, he tipped that pass away. Jared Goff had a touchdown pass, and Alec Ogletree was able to jump up and tip that away. That was a great play. Also, Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn, they had sacks, they had good games. But the secondary, a lot of wide open looks. Pretty lucky also that Jared Goff missed some of those wide open looks.
Yeah, Jared Goff is a hot pile of doo-doo as a quarterback. And he missed some really... It's funny. There was some plays where fluky, like that one where he was got dead to rights sack, and then he zigzagged his way in and then made a big throw. You were like, how the hell did that happen? And there was no skill involved, because that he is as immobile as possible. That was sheer just dumb luck.
I couldn't believe that happened.
If it was almost like when you're playing somebody in video games, they're mashing the controller, and they don't know what they're doing. They're just mashing the buttons, and then they win, and you're like, how the hell did that happen?
He buttered his cleats.
That's really what happened. And honestly, a lot of the Bears' problem on defense was penalties.
I'm sorry, some of those were really soft, in my opinion.
They were but they contributed to the Lions keeping drives alive.
True. I mean, like, I know it's going to get called now, technically with the rules, but seeing Khalil Mack just with his momentum going into Jared Goff and barely tapping his helmet and getting roughing the passer. I mean, that's dog turd tacos right there. Like, give me a break.
And then it wasn't just the calls that were made, it was the calls that were missed. The delay of game that got missed. You're like, and Matt Nagy's yelling 2 seconds. Like there was a delay of game that would have pushed them back too. This was a really bad officiating crew. And I also want to talk is we all know that Soldier Field's footing sucks.
Slippery turf monster.
Why does it always impact the Bears more than the other team they're playing?
I don't know. Do you remember in 2010 when they played, who was it, the Patriots? And they got absolutely beat in the snow because the Bears were the ones slipping and sliding everywhere on their home turf.
It's infuriating. And today you saw Cole Kmet fall down. You saw Eddie Jackson fall down. You saw Kendall Vildor fall down. Like you saw all these defenders falling down. Like how you play on this field? Like this is your home field. How in the world are you not keeping your footing? And the Lions, who play in a dome and for their home stadium, they're having no problems. It's frustrating. And I guess the other thing is, like, that TJ Hawkinson is their go-to guy. Take him away. Like, that's my thing, is take him away. Make Jared Goff beat you by going to somebody else. But take away Hawkinson. Don't leave him open. Don't play a zone where he's just going to go into the soft spots of the zone. That's the frustrating part. And then you also had one of the touchdowns was, I don't know who blew the coverage, but it seemed like it was Deion Bush, but nobody went with the receiver.
Right. They both stayed back and he was able to get wide open down the field.
Yeah, that was really frustrating. And, those things got to get cleaned up, because here's the thing is the Lions did march down the field, and just imagine on those drives, if instead of going for it on 4th down and coming up with nothing, they would have kicked field goals. Like this might've been a different game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You wound up at the end of the game where the Lions had to press because they were down 2 scores, but the Bears got the victory, and I want to be happy about that. And it was a huge step in the right direction for where they're trying to go from last week. I mean, it's a night and day difference.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you looked so much more confident on offense. Even though it wasn't necessarily perfect, you saw so much of what you've wanted to see from Justin Fields for so long, making those big-time throws to his top guys. You saw an effective running game, and you saw them, have more net yards than half a football field. I look at the defense, and it's funny because it's like, well, last week, I think the defense, despite the score, despite the outcome, I think the defense played a hell lot better against the Browns in that loss than they did against the Lions. And part of me just kind of thinks, is that just kind of playing down to their competition? We've seen them do that before. I don't really know. All I can say is you better not do this in the coming weeks, because you have the Raiders in Green Bay, and that is going to be extremely tough. I mean, I guess you could give some credit to the Lions too. I mean, their game plan was there. It was effective. They were exposing a lot of the holes in the Bears defense. It's just, you don't really have all of the players to execute it. Like we were saying with Jared Goff.
You're right. Against the Cleveland Browns, who I think have a much better offense than the Lions, definitely more talent. They shut them down for the most part. It was, if they could have put any offensive drives together, there was a potential that they could have won that game. And the Bears offense just absolutely shit the bed. And then at the end of the game, the the Browns had just run so many plays, and the defense had been out there so long that they finally collapsed.
They
in
got
the fourth
tired.
quarter.
Yeah, exactly.
And this week the defense just they were on the field less. Like what was the time of possession here? So Lions had the time of possession, but it was close. It was 31 minutes to 29 minutes. So it was pretty close as compared to last week, which was, I think, 20 minutes to 40 minutes. It's like a 2-1 advantage.
Mm-hmm.
But the Bears had more total yards here. They had more than double the rushing yards. And that's the key for the Bears is, I think, controlling the clock, keeping your defense fresh, moving the chains. I don't think until you really have Justin Fields, feeling comfortable with this offense, which is going to take a while. It's a rookie quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time. What rookie quarterback steps in and just game one is awesome. You have and once you settle on this offensive line, so when Larry Borum gets healthy, when Tevin Jenkins gets healthy, then maybe you can stop or do less max protect and try to do, have the tight ends involved, go 4 wide receiver sets, do some things where you can be a more dynamic offense. Until that point, you want to have these long drives where you use up a lot of the clock because you're keeping your defense healthy and you're giving less possessions to the other team's offense.
Yeah, and I think too there's a lot to be said about this as well. One thing that you talked about taking the foot off the gas a little bit, and that's definitely true. They did, both offensively and defensively, in late third, early fourth quarter. You had the field goal to put you up, 24-7, and then Detroit came back so fast. After that fourth down failed conversion by the Lions, which that play alone, like, why aren't you kicking a field goal? You're down 10, you're not down 14. You make it a 1-score game. At the same time, that should have been an easy first down that was failed to convert. But what I will say is this. I thought the Bears did a nice job of just wrapping it up. They got the ball back. They got some first downs. The Lions helped on the punt, obviously, to get that last first down. But even when they were going to punt, they had already gotten a few first downs and the game was already over. The Lions had burned their timeouts. We saw the past few years where we would try to get the ball to close it out and we'd go 3 and out. Damian Williams had a really nice run, got a first down and more, got you to near midfield, and you were able to just close it out right then and there. I think there is something to be said about that.
What's funny is you start looking at this game on paper, and Jared Goff threw for 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a 105 quarterback rating.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Fields threw for 209 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, and an 82.7 quarterback rating. Watch that game, and if you tell me that Jared Goff played better than Justin Fields, then I don't know what to tell you. You're probably Helen Keller.
Well, the key stat, really, in me for that is Jared Goff threw the ball 38 times. Justin Fields threw 17 times. Big difference.
I'm just excited for when Justin Fields, they take, the training wheels off and just let him go. I want to see him when plays break down, just tuck it and run. or at least roll out and try to hit an open man deep. I want to see them when they get turnovers. We saw them after one turnover. They not the first play after, but the second play after they did take a deep shot, which was nice. That's something that the Bears haven't been very good at doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no kidding.
And we saw more max protect than we did, way more than last week. But we didn't see enough rolling out, I don't think. And I think that's going to be important to utilizing his Justin Fields' athletic abilities.
I agree. And even though we did see more this week and it was nice to see that, I definitely think we could have seen more.
And then
it was just nice to see some of it,
And defensively, I want to see them, we're limited to what we can do with these defensive backs. Eddie Jackson is just not the Eddie Jackson that signed the big contract. He's just not. And I don't know how to make him be that guy anymore. The front seven is playing well. They got pressure. Robert Quinn playing great.
Yeah. You want to talk about a redemption story?
So you're seeing him play great. Khalil Mack, played well. The front seven as a whole, they held the leading rusher for the Lions to 66 yards.
Yeah, the front seven isn't what I really had the issue with. It was the secondary as normal.
Yeah, and Jalen Johnson plays well, but other than that, and part of it is I think they just need to be better about disguising some of their coverages.
Mm-hmm.
You have, you're playing this Tampa 2, this cover 2 defense, and I get that every team uses it, in some points in the game, but man, it just seems like when the Bears do, it just boom, it gets eaten up. And I know it prevents the big plays, and you're going to play it more when you're up, but man, you let teams back into it.
It lets you eat a big chunk of yards.
Yeah, I want to see them confuse quarterbacks. And Jared Goff, it's funny, they talked about how this was his first or his worst start to his NFL career. But damn it, he played for the Rams most of his career. He played for them, other than his first year, he played for a good offensive coach.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see them disguise some of the coverages and cause some confusion and let that help their defense, because they don't have the horsepower in the defensive backfield to really I guess beat the top teams.
Right. I have a Bears offensive question. I've asked this before. I'm going to ask it again. Why are we paying Jimmy Graham all this money?
Oh my God, I tweeted that. Got several likes on it. I was appreciative of that, but I don't know. What did we pay him all this money for? Is we have not used him as a red zone target. He's not getting very many snaps. And did he even get a target today? No.
I don't see it on the score sheet.
He did not get a target. So what's the point? You paid him a lot of money, and not only that is you kicked some of the money down the road. So he's going to be dead money for you next year.
Why? Either use him and pay him or don't. But either way, you're committed to him now. Again, I'm not complaining about having Jimmy Graham, but if you're not going to use him, what the hell's the point? If he was making $1.5 million, then you're okay, whatever, but he's making a lot of money.
Yeah, he's making a lot of money, and you had to cut players to be able to not cut his salary. So they're just things that don't make sense. I don't get it. I don't get what Ryan Pace was doing. And I don't get why Matt Nagy insisted on having this guy on the team. Just doesn't make any sense to me. And nobody's really asked that question. And I don't, that's the frustrating part.
Yeah, for sure.
But it is a step in the right direction for the Bears. I just think that they're going to have to improve off of this game if they want to beat the Raiders.
Right.
I don't think the Raiders are elite, but the Raiders are a pretty darn good team. And
you're on the road.
You're going to have to play better than you did this week to win that game. And I don't give them no chance. Like I gave them an unlikely chance to beat the Browns. And some of the things that happened just you weren't expecting, but I give them a better shot of beating the Raiders than I did the Browns.
I give them like a 40-60.
It just depends. Are they going to be able to run the ball? If they can run the ball and they can protect Justin Fields, I think they've got a decent chance, 60-40 probably chance. It's just they have to be able to get first downs. They have to be able to score. They can't have these dead periods where they're not scoring. And Bill Lazor has to keep calling the plays.
Yeah, there's no question. Can you imagine the reaction from Bears fans if next week Matt Nagy comes out saying, I'm taking back the play calling and we're starting Andy Dalton?
That's the thing, is how in the world do you go back to Andy Dalton at this point?
No disrespect to Dalton, but you can't.
If he would have been healthy this week, you could sort of argue like, well, Justin Fields didn't have a good game last week. And you can pin all that on, or most of it on Matt Nagy. At this point, when you saw some of those throws that Justin Fields made, I don't know how you go back to him or Andy Dalton. I just don't know how you do it. And we'll see. I don't know if Andy Dalton will even be healthy.
Right.
Did you by chance see the post-game press conference with Matt Nagy?
I did not.
Oh my God, did I want to punch him in the face?
More word salad?
Well, he took credit for Bill Lazor. So he admitted that Bill Lazor made the play calls, and he goes, but you know what? It's my offense. Everything goes through me and I'm involved in it. So,
oh, brother.
I was so frustrated with him, and I just couldn't deal. Like, I want to read you a quote from him from this press conference. It was a combination of nonsense and word salad.
So a typical Nagy press conference.
Yes. So that goes back to what we talked about internally through the whole week. Whatever I can do, the best thing for the best, whatever it is. I think that, again, for us, I think big picture. So we all understood it is, the offense in general. We get together on Monday as a staff, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We go through everything together. Ultimately, it goes through me. Everything we do, regardless of everything else, who's calling this, who's calling that, it goes through me. What part I appreciate because we do it together. Then there's the collaboration to how we do it.
There's that word again.
I thought our coaches did a great job today. I thought our coaches executed, which is what we asked for. Again, with all due respect, I understand the questions, but that's what it is. And that's all it's going to be the rest of the year, is just knowing that whatever happens, it goes through me. and we've done it together.
Sounds like the kid that didn't prepare his presentation in class, so he just kind of went up there and just started talking. That's what it kind of reminded me of.
He took credit for Bill Lazor's play calling. And then what was funnier is he said, he basically said, I'm not answering any more questions for the rest of the season about this. So don't ask. And then literally the next question, I think it was Mark Grody, was like, so is Bill Lazor going to call plays next week? And Matt's like, what did I just say? I would have.
Did he look angry or did he like smile?
He smiled, but he was totally frustrated. Like, I would have paid money if the next question would have been, so going back to that, is Bill Lazor going to still call the plays?
And then somebody asked, do you have confidence that Bill Lazor's play calling ability is going to be effective as we go forward?
Oh my God. Or
just seeing his head get all red while he smiles.
Somebody's like, when you inevitably get fired, do you want Bill Lazor to be the interim head coach? Because he did call a good game.
Does Bill Lazor like collaborating with you? Do you like collaborating with Bill Lazor? Is collaboration just the bee's knees to you?
I just was laughing because it was the most naggy thing that Nagy could do.
Typical Nagy. Oh, that's funny though. That is funny. I'll have to go listen to that. I usually try to avoid listening to it, but I'm curious to see this now. I want to hear Mark Grody ask that question. I want to see the reaction on his face. You know what's funny? If the same thing would have happened to Mike McCarthy would have legit gotten mad at him and yelled at him. Did you understand a word I just said?
Bobby, I'll tell you what. Dang it, Bobby.
Hey, old man, that old Bill Lazor man, he's gonna get that field man and throwing down what down to the field, man.
The press conference was so ridiculous, and usually I don't watch after a win, but I was like, I gotta turn this one on, and it was so Matt Nagy. He's so annoying. I can't wait for him to get fired.
Someone should take the fruit salad song from the Wiggles and make it word salad, yummy, yummy, and just have all the Wiggles have Matt Nagy faces on them.
That is a reference that I am not familiar with.
Well, if you're listening to this and you know the Wiggles and you know the fruit salad song, there you go.
But yeah, it was just frustrating listening to Matt Nagy. Just, we get it. You're the head coach. We get it. It's your offense. You're a part of things, but just give credit and recognize that you screwed up. And last week he talked about in his press conference that he feels like his strong suit is being able to accept criticism. And I don't feel that's true because like he can't even accept when another coach is getting praise. He was just like, well, I got to get on this. I got to get some of this. It's just absolutely frustrating.
Before I go to McDonald's, I got to make sure I got to take credit for what I did that Bill Lazor did because it was my idea. We collaborated because it was my idea. And, we meet each other every day because it's my idea. And then we get Big Macs, my idea.
It sounds like, I don't know, it's very Trumpy. It just sounds like Donald Trump. But one last thing I want to say about this is damn other teams done fucked up by not drafting Justin Fields.
Yeah, well, I'm glad he was able to fall to us. We were able to trade up for him and get him because we easily couldn't have. Could have easily gone to the Broncos.
I mean, the Broncos went to Drew Lock today, and they have Teddy Bridgewater, and Bridgewater is 7 for 16 for 65 yards. Drew Lock was 12 for 21 for 113 yards. Bridgewater had a 76 quarterback rating. Drew Lock had a 52. That they don't have a real quarterback there.
And that's all they're missing, really. They have all the other pieces there.
I'm not going to fault the Washington football team for not drafting him because Tyler Heineke is actually playing really well.
Yeah, I like him.
And I don't know if it's the scheme they're doing or if he's just playing bad teams, but he actually looks pretty good. Zach Wilson with the Jets. He had a pretty good game today, but he had a brutal interception.
Yeah, I saw that.
And there was times when he looked a little lost, and I don't know how much of that to go, hey, the Jets are a snake bitten team, and how much of it is, just a rookie play. But I would still rather have Justin Fields than Zach Wilson. And, even the Jaguars, Justin Fields, I think, looks better than Trevor Lawrence. And he definitely looks better than Mac Jones, and who was drafted after him, but still. And Trey Lance finally got to play today, and I did not. I watched most of him, and he looked okay. And playing for an offensive guru, but I don't know. I'm very happy with Justin Fields.
Well, you saw a lot of the raw things he could do today, and you gotta love it. So you just hope you can keep building on that as time goes on.
Yeah.
And if this means anything, if this is relevant to you at all, the Bears have won 6 of their 7 meetings against the Detroit Lions under Matt Nagy.
Yeah, it'd be nicer if they won against the Packers, but
yeah,
I'll take it.
Yeah, hey, Matt Nagy's done a great job against the Vikings and the Lions so far. Green Bay, he's only got 1 win. It was a big win, but still, that's what, 1 out of 6 games they've played? Yeah, I think 1 out of 6. But hey, they could beat the Lions.
That's something.
I guess.
And if you actually look at the standings for the division, is the Bears are squarely in second place, and I believe the Packers lost two more defenders to injury.
Yeah, but I still think they're running away with it.
And the offense does look good.
If you're not going to stop Aaron Rodgers. And stupid San Francisco. When they scored a 37 seconds last week, I'm like, that's too much time. And sure enough, it was too much time.
Yeah, had they been able to not be boneheads, and even if with 37 seconds, is how are you going to play soft defense like that?
I know.
And
all they needed was a field goal.
Yeah, is right now the Bears would be in first place. What's crazy is the Bears, the Packers have given up more points than the Bears. They've scored a lot more, but they've given up a lot more.
Yeah, well, quarterback and offense is kind of the most important, but I guess it's something.
Yeah, we'll see in a few weeks when
the
the Bears play
2 weeks only.
is it 2 weeks?
Yeah, because it's right after the Vegas game.
October 17th.
Mm-hmm.
Whew. Man. At least it's a noon game. It's always frustrating when they're like, hey, let's put the Bears against the Packers on national TV.
Yeah. I hope it doesn't get flexed.
And you're just like, really? Really? Looking quickly. So the Bears Steelers is going to be, is it a, let's see, is that a Monday night or is that a Sunday night?
I am not sure. I haven't looked
It's
that
a
far
Monday
ahead.
night. It's a Monday night. So that'll be prime time. Because I was gonna say the Bears Steelers might, if it was a Sunday night, might get flexed out of because the Steelers look terrible.
Yeah. Which, whatever.
And then they do have a primetime game against the Packers and a back-to-back primetime games. Packers Vikings.
Yeah, because the one in Green Bay is prime time, and that's usually how it works. Usually, I mean, they've both been on prime time at both stadiums, but there's very few times when they're not prime time at Lambeau Field.
Yeah. But is there anything else Bears that you wanted to talk about?
Nope.
Then, we could, in baseball, the Cubs finally ended this miserable season.
Yeah, I don't have much to say because I don't think people really care about the Cubs right now. But I'm going to say is that we started the end of the era at the beginning of the season. The era ended at the trade deadline. Now we're at a new one. It's going to be a long off season. I expect many moves. They better put their money where their mouth is if they're going to say they're going to contend very soon and not be a long rebuild, because you have a lot to fix and very few prospects that are MLB ready. You have a deep farm system you're trying to develop within. That's great. But so many of these guys are teenagers and a long ways off. So if you're going to try to get competitive soon, you better make some big moves. You better not, cry about biblical losses and all this, all that stuff. Go out, make moves, make big moves, make bold moves, get creative. Don't just rely on waiver claims and reclamation projects, or, maybe if he can play better like he did in his prime. No more of that bullshit. Make actual moves. And look, I've moved on from the last era. The last era is over. It's time for a new era. I do agree with Jed that I think there are building blocks in place. Brennan Davis is the next big prospect to come up through the system. You have hopefully a healthy Nico Horner next year with a lot of potential. You're going to have Nick Madrigal playing right next to him. And there's other prospects you're going to watch grow next year too. And as long as they don't trade him, you'll have Wilson Contreras. So there are building blocks in place. But boy, oh boy, do you need a big overhaul everywhere else.
What's funny is, they traded a lot and then you ended the season with a COVID outbreak. So you wind up with your last game of the season, Ortega, Schwindel, Happ, Duffy, Thompson, Alcantara, Jambroni, Castillo, Dykman, and Payne. Those are the players you played. At the beginning of the season, you would have been like, most of those players, you've been like, who? Who the hell is Frank Schwindel?
We didn't know who he was in frickin' August. And then all of a sudden he's hitting dingers and hitting getting 2-3 hits a game. You're like, oh, Frank the Tank, this guy.
Yeah. You just look, but you look at, you couldn't even get Wilson Contreras to finish your season,
No.
But it's finally just glad to be over and done with. It was this was a lost season.
It was a lost season. It was a season in which you're hitting the reset button. You hope that it does go by quickly. What I don't want to see is an off season go by where they just try to half-ass things again and they try to sell you like, oh, we brought in Charlie Morton. That's going to fix our rotation. Oh, we also brought in 43-year-old Rich Hill. That's going to fix the rotation too. We're going to bring in more soft tossing crafty guys. We're going to take a waiver claim on this guy. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. Make legit moves. Nick Castellanos, if he opts out, you go get him. If Marcus Stroman wants to come to you, go out and sign him. I don't want to hear, well, we're a few years away. What good is it going to do? You went on record saying that this was going to be a quick turnaround. So do it. Make the moves that you need to make it a quick turnaround. Look, I don't think in any scenario the Cubs are going to be contenders next year. I don't. But you need to take a big step forward. You can take this offseason and make yourself competitive. You're not going to make yourself a contender. You're not. Unless you take a bunch of these prospects you got and you trade them for a bunch of guys and they somehow hit. Still, for them to just jump right back into legit contention, I don't see it happening in one offseason. I think things could be longer than we think. But if you're going to preach this is not going to take long, you need to make impactful moves right away.
And the one thing is the Cubs did break a record today.
Strikeouts.
I don't know if it's strikeouts, but they broke the record for most players, most number of players that have appeared in a season.
That too.
So the record was 67, and the Cubs ended the season with 69 different players. Breaking their franchise record was 56, so they smashed that.
Yeah, that's something.
So their game one, the opening day roster was Happ, Contreras, Rizzo, Bryant, Peterson, Baez, Hayward, Bodie, and Hendricks. Today, their season finale was Ortega, Schwindel, Happ, Duffy, Thompson, Alcantara, Jimbroni, Castillo, and Mills.
Jimbroni. When you have Trent Jimbroni out there, get Jimbroni. That tells.
Get Jabroni.
Because Jabroni's been that guy that's been in the system for a while. You see him every spring training, and then he goes back to the minors, and now he's on your team.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I just don't know what the you look at the free agency like a roster of players that are available, and I don't know, even throwing a lot of money out there, who is going to completely overhaul this roster to make you competitive next year.
You need to redo your rotation. You need to basically put in a new lineup. Maybe Ortega can be a bench guy. Maybe Frank Schwindel could be a bench guy. Maybe Patrick Wisdom could be a bench power guy. But you look at all those guys too, and you're thinking, they're just blooming now. And late bloomers do happen, but we've seen Patrick Wisdom, great power, tremendous power, a lot of holes in that swing. I don't know if he's going to be a reliable guy going forward. Off your bench, maybe, but nothing more than that. Not an everyday starter, and that's okay. You do need those types of guys on your team. But I mean, you need to build a whole new identity, which they've already started to have. Really important next year. Both Nico Horner and Nick Madrigal have to be healthy next year.
Yes.
Not only are they future building blocks, they are the key to changing the dynamic of your team. The Cubs have been high swing and miss, high walk, high power. With these guys, you're just getting pure contact. Guys that don't miss the ball and put the ball in play. That looks like the type of philosophy that Jed Hoyer is trying to turn to. Those two are the keys to making that happen. You bring in more players that could be like that, but those two are the building blocks of that dynamic.
Um, yeah, it's going to be tough next year because I don't know how much overhaul you can actually do with the roster on the starting rotation. I think you're going to have to rely a lot on guys taking big steps forward, young players that are in your system right now. And I don't know what it is that the Cubs do, but they're able to develop bats. They just can't develop pitching. And I don't know what it is because it's something in their farm system because they've tried drafting heavily. They've tried acquiring young minor league pitchers, and they just don't seem to be able to bring them along.
Right. You hope that a guy like Jordan Wicks can be that next developed pitcher that they've been looking for a while.
And I'm curious of what the front office feels about that young rotation or the young pitchers, because I think that's gonna frame a lot of how the offseason spending is going to go.
Right.
I mean, regardless, they need at least one veteran arm in there. And it'd be nice if it was a veteran arm that could actually be a top of the rotation guy rather than just a guy.
And not a soft tosser. For the love of God, enough with the soft tossing crap.
Yeah, I know. I never
don't play baseball like that anymore.
I don't ever want to have another soft tosser, unless you're like, oh, hey, we cloned Greg Maddux. Then I will still side eye you, but I'll accept it.
Yeah. Beer belly and all.
I still love that video of him where he was in disguise pitching to Bryant, and he's just like, strike. That's a strike.
I mean, Bryant was coming off an MVP season. He could barely, the guy's, old man walking to the mound, and he still had him off balance at times.
Because Greg Maddux is great.
Yeah. He's a freak of nature.
But the season is over, and we had some wild card dreams get dashed today. The Yankees won, which dashed some hopes. The Red Sox won, dashed other hopes, and you wound up with the Mariners and the Blue Jays not making it.
So close for the Mariners, but they got a bright future. Same thing with the Blue Jays. You have an absolute stud in Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Absolute superstar. They add a few more pieces. They're going to be contenders next year.
Yeah, and it was so close. I mean, look at this division, AL East. The Rays won 100 games. Yankees won 92. Red Sox won 92. Blue Jays won 91.
A lot of talent in that division, man. And then there's the Orioles.
The Orioles won 52.
Oh, God.
They lost 110 games. So let's see. How many teams lost over 100 games? Orioles, Rangers, the Pirates, and the Diamondbacks. That's a lot of teams to lose 100+ games in a season.
I know. Well, and I feel like there were a lot of rebuilding, we're not spending teams out there.
And man, it just sucks. It would have been nice to see the Blue Jays make the wild card.
Yeah. Oh, well, at least with the Yankees, Anthony Rizzo is another shot.
Yeah. And so the wild card is set. The first wild card game will actually be Yankees Red Sox, which ESPN's probably drooling about. They're like,
oh God, yeah.
Oh my, the coastal elites. Oh my God, everybody loves Yankees Red Sox. And like I can't think of anything I want to watch less than the stupid Red Sox and the Yankees. Like I would rather watch the Orioles and Rangers play than the Red Sox
Wow.
Yankees. Um, but one of those teams will go on to get trounced by the Rays. I'm hoping for the Red Sox. I really hate the Yankees. And then the NL wild card will be Wednesday. And that will be the Cardinals going to Los Angeles and hopefully getting their asses kicked.
Oh, they're going to find a way to win. Just watch. Just watch.
Just the idea of them winning just infuriates me.
And you know what's going to be even crazier is when Albert Pujols makes the final out.
But we do know that it's official. I mean, it's been pretty much official for a while, but the White Sox will be facing the Astros, and game 1 will be Thursday.
Yeah, so what? Lance Lynn's probably going to be the starter, right, for game 1?
Probably.
Now, I didn't really follow up much on Carlos Rodon. I know he won the start or I don't know if he won. I don't remember how far he went into the start, but he started the game against the Reds, didn't give up a run, I don't think, because there were concerns about his arm being injured again. So if he's healthy, he's going to be probably 2, I would imagine, unless you put him at 1 and Lynn at 2 for whatever reason. I just feel like you'd trust Lynn more than anybody to be your 1.
I mean, I would. And I'm not seeing the probables for any of these games. Oh, here, Garrett Cole will be pitching for the Yankees and Adam Wainwright will be pitching for the Cardinals against Max Scherzer. And the White Sox haven't announced anybody.
Yeah, they're probably like, I think it's going to be Lance Lynn, but I could be wrong.
I mean,
know Giolito has good numbers against the Astros, so maybe that factors into it. I don't know.
I mean, the nice thing is that you can really reset your whole rotation at this point.
Yeah, I think your top 3, you can't really go wrong.
You know, Dylan Cease pitched today. And see, Giolito pitched yesterday. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
You have the days off for rest.
Yeah. So really you can set up that rotation any way you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's other than if you wanted to start Dylan Cease in game 1, which you don't.
Why would you do that?
Yeah. Other than that, like you really can set this up however you want. You're starting to get, guys healthy. Personally, I would start Lance Lynn. I think he's been your best pitcher all season long, earned it.
And he has the experience in that situation too.
Yeah. And the nice thing is it's not a 1-game playoff. Like,
right.
You've got some cushion there if it doesn't work out.
Exactly. Yeah, the 1-game playoff, you want to avoid that at all possible.
Let's see, I'm looking at the White Sox injuries here. And
seems like most key people are healthy, at least to my knowledge.
Yeah, everybody seems healthy. Ryan Tepera is back. Dylan Cease was back already after the bicep contusion. Brian Goodwin is still on the injured, and Evan Marshall, but you're not counting on them for anything. So you're seemingly healthy, and you're going up against a tough Astros team, but I don't know. I feel confident.
I think the White Sox are going to win this series. And Sox fans, don't get mad at me if it goes other ways. I just think my personal prediction is Sox in 4. Even though the season series didn't go quite as desired, I still think that the White Sox are a better team than the Astros. And when the Astros and White Sox played, the White Sox weren't at full capacity, and Luis Robert is killing everything right now. I feel like the White Sox do match up pretty well against this team. It's certainly not going to be easy, I don't think. I mean, the Astros are a good team and they do have home field advantage. But that said, I do think the White Sox match up really well, and I'm predicting them to win this series. I think some of the keys in this are obviously outside the obvious, timely hitting and, good starting pitching, but you really want that bullpen to be locked down. And I'm not really so much worried about Liam Hendricks, but, we've seen ups and downs from the rest of the bullpen, and, they could go in there and absolutely dominate, and then that'll be keys to victories and going on a long run. You want to get that. You want to get your top relievers pitching well, missing bats, getting strikeouts, being efficient. Because, you more than ever, bullpens are important. You need bullpens in the postseason more than ever. And on paper, they have the bullpen to go on a long postseason run. We haven't seen quite the dominance as we expected from the bullpen, but, the postseason, a lot of things reset, man. You don't really know. There's potential that they can play to their on paper value, because on paper, there's a lot of value there.
Yeah, I just feel like the White Sox are a team that's built to be able to go far in the postseason.
Me too.
You went out and you got this manager, better or for worse. You got this manager for this moment. Tony La Russa, you got him specifically for the postseason. And you've got them. You've got your team healthy. You've got all of your big boppers in there. This is a team that can play small ball or just mash home runs. You've got a rotation that's got 4 legit stoppers that can stop any kind of streak. And on paper, you've got 2 good closers. If Kimbrel figures his shit out. But on paper, you've got 2 legit closers. And this is a team that should be able to win any type of series. Low scoring, high scoring. They've got the players to be able to do it. And now it's coming down to, all right, you got through the gauntlet of this whole long season. Do you have the bad taste out of your mouth from losing to the A's last playoffs? And are you going to come in here and you're facing you're a better team than you were last year, but this Astros team is better than the Oakland team you faced last year too.
Yeah, it's kind of a upgrade battle on each side. The White Sox are better and the opponent is better. And so it's going to be kind of it's I don't really think that last year's Oakland series is going to get to them too much. You have a new manager, an experienced manager, a better manager. I know we've trashed Tony La Russa a lot on this show, but you know what? The guy wins. The guy knows how to win. And this team that dealt with so many injuries still won 90 plus games. And they're ready to go out and play when they go out there. So the whole Oakland mess was Rick Renteria last year. I don't think you're going to go through that again. You're going to get better managing with the pitching from Tony La Russa. You have more, you have Liam Hendricks this time. They had Liam Hendricks last year. Your bullpen, even though it's had its ups and downs, is deeper. You have another year experience under the belt of many of these young guys. I think it's time for them to just go on this deep run. The first of many for this team, honestly. But, no matter how much potential you have in the future, you want to take full advantage of what you have right now. And I think the White Sox are in a good position to do that. But, the Astros, They have their offense was the highest WAR in baseball this year, according to Fangraphs. It's potential to be a very good series. Close games, intense. Two really good teams going at it. And I think that what the biggest edge the White Sox have is the pitching.
Oh, absolutely.
Both teams can score, but the White Sox have much better pitching.
I mean, they're probably what McCullers going to be their game one starter.
I would imagine Lance McCullers, yes.
And didn't Zach Greinke just come off the injured list?
Honestly, I don't know. I haven't followed the Astros very closely.
I thought I saw that. Googling now. Yeah, the Astros activated Zach Greinke today.
I mean, he's probably going to be pretty rusty, I would imagine. Or at least you would think.
So, I mean, he was arguably their best or second best pitcher.
I would say so, yeah.
And then Garcia. The pitching clearly favors the White Sox.
Yeah, by far.
And the hitting slightly favors the Astros. The Astros are a phenomenal hitting team.
Mm-hmm.
But so are the White Sox.
Yeah.
And the White Sox can mash with the best of them. I think, the season stats between these two is the White Sox were only won 2 out of 7 games against them, but it was
the 2015 Cubs swept the Mets in the regular season. Look what happened in the playoffs.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because I don't think they've played since July.
Yeah, it's been a while.
These are two completely different teams at this point, and the postseason is a whole nother animal. And I have my money on the White Sox. And again, I'm a Cubs fan as you are, so I don't have like the full skin in the game like our White Sox friends, but I feel objectively that this is a series that the White Sox should be able to win.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
The Tampa series, I mean, I'm assuming Tampa's going to win, but
you never know. You never know.
I think Tampa's a tougher draw than the Astros, but maybe Anthony Rizzo goes hog wild and the Yankees beat the Rays.
You never know, man. I mean, look at the Giants. Look at that team. Would it really would it surprise you if they went on a deep run? Of course not. Would it surprise me if they lost in the first round the way they've won? Honestly, no.
Yeah, it's funny. The Giants are a really good team. I don't know if I see them as, and they very well could win the World Series. I mean, they've had some magic over the last decade plus. But they seem more like a regular season winning team than a postseason regular winning team.
Well, I mean, look at those Giants teams of old. When you had Madison Bumgarner, when you had Matt Cain, when you had Tim Lincecum, those guys, you counted on them to win postseason games every year. And every year they were in the postseason until 2016, that's exactly what they did. They won championships with those guys. After they kind of built that rapport in 2010, in 2013, 2015, you went out there and counted on those guys to go out and win every October, and they did that. Yeah, you still have Buster Posey. I think Brandon Bell is hurt, but he's part of the team. You still have Brendan Crawford, but a lot of those old guys are gone. Madison Bumgarner's gone. Matt Cain's gone. Tim Lincecum's long gone. But you do have a lot of good players. You have a resurgence of Evan Longoria, which is great to see. You have our old buddy Chris Bryant. There's good guys on that team. What really shocks me about the Giants is how they're able to pitch the way they do. Like, did anyone see Kevin Gausman having this kind of season? I certainly didn't.
No, not at all.
And you don't have Bruce Bochy. That's another big thing. You had Bruce Bochy all those years.
Have they said if how long Brandon Belt's going to be out?
I have not. Let me look at that really quick because I don't remember how he got hurt, but
I think he broke his thumb. Oh, wait, I'm looking. Reportedly out 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's a big blow for them.
That's a big blow. So according to Andrew Baggerly, who has a blue check mark on Twitter, I'm hearing the prognosis on Brandon Belt is 4 weeks. Game 1 of the World Series is 4 weeks from today. The day he posted this. But that's the time for the bone to heal, not a total return to function time. He'll be reevaluated week to week, though.
What a shame, man. That stinks for them.
Yep. But you know what? That's baseball.
Next man up.
Pretty much. You can't you can't count on guys to be healthy all season long.
Nope. You got to have the right depth. You got to plug in the right guys, and we'll see what happens. And we'll see how Chris Bryant plays this October too.
Yeah. So, God, how bad it would suck for the Cardinals to beat the Dodgers and then go and beat the Cardinals.
You mean the Giants?
I'm sorry, the Giants.
The Cardinals beat the Cardinals.
Yeah, the Cardinals beat the Cardinals. That would be awesome if the Cardinals beat the Cardinals. Hate those Cardinals. But if they beat the Giants, and that's shaping up like it could happen because if just really hoping on the Dodgers here.
I'm hoping for the Dodgers in the wild card game, and then that's it. They could go lose after that.
Oh yeah, they could lose every other game for the rest of their, the storied franchise.
Unless they're playing the Brewers. I don't want the Brewers to win.
My playoff hope is I want to see White Sox Braves.
Yeah, the Braves and the Giants are kind of the teams I'm rooting for in the NL.
I could live with the Giants. I could live with
Chris
the Giants.
Bryant.
Yeah, I could live with the Giants making the World Series. It's just, it can't be the Dodgers. It can't be the Cardinals. It can't be the Brewers.
Yeah, Cardinals Brewers are the two teams I really don't want to win, the two big rivals.
Yeah, from the AL, it can't be Houston. I don't want those cheaters in. And I don't want Yankees or Red Sox because, well, they can go pound sand. Heavily rooting for the White Sox here. But
if not the White Sox, I mean the Rays. We wouldn't have anything against the Rays.
I don't have anything against the Rays, but I'm heavily rooting for the White Sox.
That's fair.
So if you had, Rays, White Sox, Giants, Braves, I'm okay.
Yeah.
If any other team, I'm gonna be irked. I don't want those jerk store teams.
The jerk store.
I am excited that the Seinfeld is now on Netflix.
I've already been binge watching it on Netflix again.
Yeah, I will start tonight while I'm editing this.
Excellent.
I will be binge watching Seinfeld.
God, I've been binge watching season 9, the final season. There were so many golden moments in that final season, from Festivus to the Frogger to frickin' George building like a hideout under his desk.
Wait, those were all from the last season?
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
wow.
was the desk one season 8? I can't remember, but there's a lot of good ones in season 9. Festivus, I know, was season 9. The Frogger was season 9.
Those are two of the best episodes.
The Frogger is so funny. When they're in Monk's Cafe trying to plan out how they're going to get the Frogger, and Peter Stormare's character is like, wait, I thought we were stealing this. Can I at least steal the battery?
Festivus. Festivus is so good.
My family and I, every December 23rd, we watch it.
Oh, Festivus for the rest of us.
Hey, no bagel, no bagel, no bagel, no bagel. You're siding with management? Scab! Scab! Scab!
But yeah, so I'm rooting for the White Sox. I think they've got a really good chance here against the Astros. And the best of 5 series is always weird.
Yeah, it is.
It'll be two in Houston, and then 2 at guaranteed rate, and then if necessary, game 5 goes back to Houston. It's tough because in a 7-game series, even if you go down 0-2, like the series never really starts until a home team loses.
Right.
And if in a 5-game series, like in a 7-game series, you go down 0-2, you're like, okay, this sucks, but I'm totally in this. And then you win your first year 2 at home, and then you're back at it. With the 5-game series, you lose those. If you lose those first 2 on the road, like all that pressure goes on you because you're like, all right, well, I have 0 room for any error. I have to win 3 straight games here. And that gets tough. And the White Sox got in the predicament last year where they just, all right, we're done. And, but this 5-game series, you've got to steal one right off the bat if you're the road team, and that's where the White Sox are. And the hope is you put Lance Lynn on the mound game 1, and if you steal game 1, you got to feel pretty confident in what you're doing.
Oh yeah, if they win 1 on the road in the first 2, I think they win that series.
Yeah, if game 1 is going to be big for the White Sox.
Game 1 or game 2. You just need to split the first. If you just split one of the first 2, you're probably winning the series.
Yeah, I just feel like game 1 is the bigger one, because if you set that tone and you start out with your ace, which I feel is going to be a better ace than the Astros are putting out there. You put yourself in a really good position, and to your point, winning either of those first 2 games is critical.
Yeah, but, absolutely.
So yeah, sorry. I was just looking at last year's postseason. But yeah, it just starting off playing in Houston, you've got to steal one on the road. It takes the pressure off of you coming back to Chicago, where it's not a must win. It's you've got the advantage.
Yeah, no, I agree. Absolutely.
So hopefully by the time that, we talk next, the White Sox are in the driver's seat for the, that divisional series.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Just looking at the full schedule here. So Game 1 is Thursday. Game 2 is Friday. Game 3 is Sunday. Game 4 is Monday. So, man, that would rule if the White Sox had won by the next time we talk.
It's possible. It is
It is.
possible.
I mean, if they sweep, yeah, absolutely. So everybody make sure that you root for the White Sox, and it'll be fun to see the first game at guaranteed rate because they're doing a blackout game. So hopefully everyone wears their black gear. That'll be neat.
Yeah, just like 08, wasn't it?
Yeah. And other than that, hockey started.
Yeah, it did. I was at the preseason opener against the Red Wings at the United Center.
Oh, for real?
Uh-huh.
That's
I
cool.
was there. I was surrounded by screaming Red Wings fans, and when we lost, it stunk. But at least it didn't count.
Yeah, it doesn't count. Doesn't count for anything. It is but it is nice to have hockey back. I haven't watched any yet. It's been hectic around here, so I'm excited to finally sit down and watch hockey again. I've really missed it. I love hockey, and last season it was tough. The Blackhawks were not very good, and to try to sit down and watch some games, it was just kind of brutal.
Yeah, you hope that this year things are a little better. You have a legitimate goaltender in Marc-Andre Fleury. You went out and you got Seth Jones. You got, this is easy to forget. They got Tyler Johnson too from the Lightning, and they got him and Fleury for literally nothing. I don't think the Blackhawks are going to be prime cup contenders, but they should be flirting with the playoff spot at least, I think. Even if it's the lowest seed, they should at least be in that mix. They have the talent to do it. And also, might I add, it was really good to see Jonathan Toews back on the ice. He was getting cheered every time he touched the puck, every face-off. They did an interview with Eddie Olczyk, and everyone was cheering and clapping when he was doing that. And that was just really nice to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited to finally watch. I think they play tomorrow against the Red Wings.
It must be in Detroit then.
Yeah.
The first matchup was here.
But seeing some of these players, I'm like, I don't know who this guy is or this guy is. It's ridiculous. There's a lot of new names that I don't know.
Yeah, you got some prospects, some new guys coming in, and that's always part of preseason is identifying some of those guys. But once the season comes around, the roster is going to look a lot more recognizable. I mean, when I went the first night, there were very few regulars dressed. Kane wasn't dressed. Fleury wasn't dressed. Seth Jones wasn't dressed. His brother was, but he wasn't. DeBrincat wasn't dressed. Tyler Johnson wasn't dressed. Trying to think. The main big guys that were dressed were Toews, Murphy, Kevin Lankinen, who very well could be the backup goaltender. I mentioned Caleb Jones. Was Kubalik dressed? I can't remember. I think he was. I have to go back and look at the score sheet. But yeah, you had a lot of guys that weren't dressed that first night.
Yeah, tomorrow is at Little Caesars Arena. Little Caesars Arena.
Yeah, there you go. So they'll already be, after tomorrow night, there'll be 4 preseason games in already.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy. But the season is right around the corner, and I'm excited for that, and I'm excited to watch the game tomorrow because it's been my first opportunity actually to be able to watch them, this preseason. And then And then the Bulls preseason opener is Tuesday.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So you have Blackhawks and Bulls coming back very soon, and seeing the photos of the new Bulls team with DeMar DeRozan and Lonzo Ball, really fun to see. I'm ready to watch this team play.
I've been listening to Big Dave on the new podcast, and it's nice to hear how excited he is talking about this Bulls team, and it's going to be nice to see, and I can't wait till they announce Zach LaVine's new deal, because that's got to be coming.
You hope.
I
mean, though I do trust Arturas Karnisovas more than, let's say, other executives.
But it wouldn't make sense to not sign into an extension after you've just put this team together around him.
Right.
It seems silly. So it seems inevitable that we're going to get this announcement where he's going to get like the Supermax deal.
Well, somebody just recently got paid big money. I can't remember who it was, though.
I'm excited to see what Patrick Williams is going to do
once he gets healthy again.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, it sounds like, if all goes well, he won't miss that much time of the actual season.
Well, I mean, how much time is he really scheduled to miss?
It was like a few weeks, and that's, that was what, a week or so ago that was announced.
Let's see. Yeah, true. He hurt his ankle on the 15th of September.
So a few weeks ago.
Yeah. So I don't know. He'll probably be back soon.
Yeah, like I say, it won't be that much time.
Yeah, I'm not that concerned. I think he's going to be an important cog to the Bulls doing well this season, especially on defense.
For sure.
But it'll be nice to get these games under the belt and start to see winter sports popping in.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
No, I think I've said it all.
It's starting to get to be the busy season of sports. You've got baseball still going on at the last, end of it into the postseason. Football is just getting into the full gear, and hockey and basketball are just starting. It's
I know, isn't that something? We're ready for the winter sports.
Yeah, fall is finally upon us. But I think that's going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Please hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, etc. Follow us on social media at Swerski Sports, Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com, Facebook, Alex Pat Sports Chat, or AlexPatSportsChat.blogspot.com. Share this podcast with your friends. That's how we grow the show. And again, thank you guys so much for listening. Until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her. You can have her. She's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van.
And she looks like... Remember, New Yorkers, smoking crack is not legal on planes.
Bears 31 to -7.
The Bears. Oh, when the bears go bearing down.